Hey friends, welcome back to Indian Contract Act 1872 discussion, and this is our third video and where we are starting discussion on offer, acceptance and consideration. Okay, as we discussed in the first video, the four pillars of Indian Contract Act 1872. The first one is key definitions, and the second one enforceable by law. Third one is discharge of contract, and the fourth one is remedies for breach of contract. We discussed about all these things in brief in the first video. If you have not seen the first video, I request you to go back to the first video and listen to the overview of Indian Contract Act 1872. Okay. In this particular video, in the second video, we have already discussed what is contract and what is agreement. With this basic information, with this foundational information, let us start discussing what is offer, what is acceptance and what is consideration. Okay, so offer, for the sake of convenience, we have divided into three subsection here. One is definition, essential of offer, and then types of offer. Offer is defined in section 2A of this act. Okay, please note this is defined in section 2A. So what is the definition says? The definition reads as follows: when one person will signify to another person his willingness to do or not to do something with a view to obtain the assent of such person to such an act or abstinence, he is said to make a proposal or an offer. Okay, this is a simple case as we discussed earlier also. Let us look into it. That this definition clearly says one person, like say for example, and we have another person B. He says that I am ready to do something, willing to do. Okay, otherwise not to do. Okay, willingness to do or not to do something, whatever, right? So willing to do is a positive case where he says that I am going to do this particular act and you pay me for this. Okay, not to do something, he says that I will not do this particular work and you pay for this. Okay, so this is a positive case and this is a negative case. Both the parts are part of an offer. So one person is willingness to do something. Why he says to other person? To get his assent or acceptance. The purpose is with a view to obtaining the assent of such person. So if A says to B, I am ready to sell my car. A says that sell my car for 2,50,000. Okay. Why is he selling it to B? Why is saying this sentence to B? He is making an offer and with the view to obtain the assent from such person. A wanted acceptance from B. Correct? So he wanted. The purpose of telling this information to B is to get his assent or acceptance. Okay, whatever A disclosed or whatever A told to B, this is called as an offer. Okay, make a proposal or offer. The other word for offer is proposal. I hope you guys are clear about what is an offer, and we gone through this definition section 2A just now. So the person who makes an offer is called as offerer. Okay, and then person who receives the offer is called as offeree. Okay, or once the offer is made to B, and offer this B can reject it or accept it, correct? Or he can make a counter offer. Right? So now whatever price you are quoting is not right. So these actions we will see in the discussion of an acceptance. Okay. So the person who makes an offer is called as offerer and the person who receives the offer is called as offeree. The person to whom the offer is made is called as offeree. So you are clear? We discussed definition, okay, and then we discuss who is offerer and then is offeree. Offer is also called as proposal. Okay. Okay. Then the important question arises, how long this offer is open. This offer remains open. Okay, remains open. Very simple. When A makes an offer to B, if B accepts, when a receiver accepts it, the offer will be closed. Otherwise, if receiver rejects, then also offer will be closed. The third case, if in the when he makes offer, he put a condition that this offer is valid up to 1 week from now. So after 1 week, if the time is given, a lapse of time. So once the time is passed, what lapse of time? So after 1 week, this offer will be closed. Okay, this will remain open. The offer will remain open till somebody accepts it to whom it is made, or if it is rejected by the other party, or a lapse of time. So under these three circumstances, offer up to this point, offer will remain open. Okay, so this is all about an offer, and let's look into an essentials on offer. The basic essential is an offer must be made with an intention to create a legal relationship. It is most important feature, like essential for an offer. As we discussed earlier, if A invites B for tea party at Taj. Okay. So B, who is staying around 50 kilometers away from the hotel, he traveled all the way and reaches a hotel after traveling 50 kilometers. Okay, but A, whatever the offer made to B was a social offer, right? It is a social thing. It is not a legal action or a legal thing. So B cannot claim, even though he traveled almost 50 kilometers to reach this particular place, he will not be able to claim he cannot go to a court for getting a justice in favor of him. Okay, so there should be an intention to create a legal relationship. The terms of the offer should not be impossible to perform. Right? The terms of the offer, right? It should be like a possible activities. It is not an impossible activities. What are the examples of impossible activities? If a person eats iron, we pay 50,000 rupees, 5 kg iron. So is this possible? No, right? Anything, any actions which are impossible to perform at the time of the contract is called it is not an offer. So at the time of making a contract, whatever offer is made, that should be in a state of performing. Okay, the person, the other party or both the parties should be able to perform it. Correct. So anything which is impossible action, then it is okay. If India is having some war with the enemy country, okay, at that time the offer made by Indian company to enemy company's person is invalid because it cannot be performed. So the terms of the offer should not be impossible to perform. An offer should be clear and not ambiguous or vague. Offer should be very clear. All the terms and conditions, everything should be put properly. So A wants to sell his car. Every time I go to a same case. So what are the conditions, terms here? He is selling a car. His car make maybe a Maruti. Okay, and then it is a 2015 model. It is price is 2,50,000. Offer is open up to 1 week from now. Okay, so all the terms and everything, it's put it in clear here. it cannot be, and color is white, right? All these things should be mentioned clearly in the offer. There should not be any ambiguity or a vague sentence like I'm selling my car. What does it mean? Which color? Which make? What is how many years old? 4 years old, right? If all these things are not there clearly, then it is called as an ambiguity. There is a vague. So nothing should be kept open. Nothing should be put on a loose ended. So put all the possible requirements to make a proper offer. An offer must be communicated to the third party. Okay, offer should be communicated to the third party. Keeping a document of an offer, it doesn't make it an offer. So A has to communicate this to B. So the message should reach to offeree. Then only it will be called as offer. An offer and invitation to offer should be distinguished from each other. There are two important points here. One is offer, okay, and the second one is invitation to offer. What does it mean? In what is invitation? Offer, we know one person signifies his willingness to do something or not to do something to other party. What is invitation to offer? Invitation to offer is something where it is just a display. Okay, it is just a display of a price. Like for example, when you go to a hotel, there will be a price menu. Okay, so this is an invitation to offer. Or if in a shop, okay, you see a doll with like you see a lot of dresses there, right, with a price tag. Okay, it is just an invitation to offer. So you cannot bargain or you cannot fight with the shop owner that you have put a MRP of this and you have to sell with this price only. Okay, so it is all invitation to offer. We discuss this invitation to offer later on. So offer is always be a clear terms. Everything will be in detail and everything is discussed in written or discussed in detail with the offerer and offeree, between offerer and offeree. But in case of invitation offer, it is just an invitation to a person to view the product or something. Okay, we will discuss invitation to offer later. So the if it is an offer, it should have everything, and there should be a proper distinction between offer and invitation to offer. An offer must be made with the intention to get the assent of the offeree. Right? The basic purpose of the offer is to get assent from offeree. Who is offerer is A here and B is the offeree. So the purpose of the offer made to B is to get his acceptance or a assent. An offer may be positive or negative. As we told in the beginning itself, offer, the definition also clearly says where one person signifies is to do or not do, not to do. So the offer can be this is a positive case and then this is a negative case. Okay. Communication of special condition is necessary. Okay. So the most important part is if there is any special condition, we should not assume, everything should be clearly stated. Okay. The important condition in this exercise is car should be picked from A's location. Correct. All registration expenses should be borne by buyer, right? These all are special conditions for any kind of a deal. All these things should be clearly communicated to B. So if B comes and buys a car and assumes that all transfer expenses will be paid by A, that's the confusion, right? So all the registration cost should be borne by buyer. So like this, special conditions should be put properly in any offer. Okay, so we discussed what is offer, what is essentials of offer, and now you move to types of offer. There are 5 types of offer which we are going to discuss: general offer, specific offer, cross offer, counter offer, and open or standing offer. We will discuss all these points in brief, one by one. Okay, so general offer, what we have here, and then we have a specific offer. We will see general offer and then specific offer. What is general offer? General offer is a offer to a specific person or a group or known as a specific offer. Okay. See, if we are making an offer to A is making offer to B to buy a car, so then it is a specific offer. Correct? Otherwise, if B makes this offer to his 5 friends, then this is also a specific offer. What is specific offer? Specific offer is a something which offer is made to a specific person to like B or a group which is known like 5 friends. But public offer or a general offer is something where A makes an offer in a newspaper. I have a car sale, okay, or in a websites. We have seen many house rents, car sale and everything, right? Then this is all our general offer. I hope you are clear. When offer is made to a public, then it is known as general offer. Two important case studies here. One is Lalman Shukla versus Gauri Datta, and then Carlyle versus Carbolic Smoke Ball Company. Let's look into facts of this case so it will be easy to understand. Okay. Lalman versus Gauri Datta is a case where there was a person, he lost his grandson. Okay, so then he asked his servant to find. Okay, servant goes for in search of missing boy. Okay, this is a one part of the story. And when the servant goes for searching a missing boy, Mr. A announces or gives an offer in a paper, in newspaper, okay, stating whoever finds the missing boy, he will pay X amount, right? This is an advertisement. Okay, he declares that, okay, whoever finds the boy, I will pay 5,000 rupees or whatever at that time. Okay, but a servant who has not seen this offer, he found the boy and returns it to Mr. Owner. Owner was happy for it. After few days, servant came to know that owner made this general offer and he went and asked for the reward. Okay, the most important point is A made an offer, but the servant was never known this offer before he hand over the child. So that's why court rejected the request from the servant for a reward. Okay, the communication of the important point from a general offer perspective, the offer is made to public at large. Okay, so this is a general offer example. But in this case, finally what happened is the offer was not seen by the servant. Okay, it was not communicated or it was not received by the servant. And after returning the boy, if he asked for this, then it is not accepted. Okay, it is not accepted. The court case was rejected. And at the same time, there is another case called Carlyle versus Carbolic Smoke Ball Company. Very interesting case here. They are selling medicine for influenza, flus and other thing related tablets. And if they, this is a case where the smoke ball company gives a public notice. Okay, public notice where they say that if any person who uses the product of this company and if they suffer influenza, fever, cold, etc., okay, then company will pay $50. I might be wrong here, 50 pounds, okay, 50 pounds. And one of the person who takes this particular product from a smoke ball company, he suffers the influenza. Okay, and then that person goes and claims for a damage of 50 pounds. Yes, this is a yes. Is he successful in that? Will he be successful in the court? Yes, because this was a public offer. It was a general offer which was given in a notice properly that whoever uses the product and if they suffer influenza, fever or cold or something, they get X amount as a compensation. And this is a public offer. Public offer can be accepted by anyone, right? See, when I make an offer to A, when offer A is make an offer to B, it should be accepted by B only. If C accepts, it is not. It is not considered as an acceptance. But in case of a public offer, anyone can accept it. This is a case study for general offer. Carlyle versus Carbolic Smoke Ball Company. So we discuss both general offer and a specific offer. General offer is where the offer is made to public at large, and a specific offer is something which will be made to a specific person, and specific offer will be accepted only by the person to whom offer is made, but general offer can be accepted by anyone. Two important cases with respect to general offer are Lalman Shukla versus Gauri Datta, Lalman Shukla versus Gauri Datta, and then Carlyle versus Carbolic Smoke Ball Company. I take a pause here, and we can discuss other two offers now, cross offer and counter offer. So two important confusing terminologies, cross offer and counter offer. Cross offer is something, it is, we can say that a coincidence. Okay, see, I will read the definition or explanation later. We take an example. E is here and the B is here. A sends a message or a telegram or an email stating, I want to sell car for 2,50,000. B, assume that the B has not seen the email. At the same time, B also sends a mail, I want to buy your car for 2,50,000. See, A has sent it message by email and B also sent it message by email. Okay, or by post. Both the parties are unaware of this. Okay, A sent it without the knowledge of that B wants it to buy, or B sends another offer here, can you sell your car to me? Okay, this is called as a cross offer. These are the offers that party make to each other in ignorance of each other's offer. So A is making one offer here, B is also making another offer, but both the offers should be identical. Right? A is saying I am selling my car for 2,50,000. B is saying I am interested to buy your car for 2,50,000. Both are doing it in ignorance, and then both are identical. So it doesn't mean that it is an acceptance from B, the B's action, right? So it is not a, so cross offers are not valid. So the B's response or B's mail will not give an acceptance. It is not an acceptance to A's offer. It is a separate offer. This is also a offer. This is also a offer. So B's mail is not an acceptance for A, and A's mail is not an acceptance for B. These are both only offers. Okay. It is a, so that's why it is not a valid contract. Cross offers are not accepted. Okay. Cross offers will not be considered as acceptance. There are two, there's one important case here, Hyde versus Wrench. In this case, there was a cross offer. The one person said, I'm selling my property, and the other side, the other party also said that I'm interested to buy your property. So this is a cross offer. Both the parties are saying to buy, one is interested to sell the property, other one is mentioning that is interest to buy the property, but they don't know the offers made by each other. So then this is a cross offer. Okay, Hyde versus Ranch. It is a case. Okay, counter offer. I hope you were clear with a cross offer. Both the parties makes an offer here without the knowledge of each other, and the offer will be identical. Whatever is one person says, the other person's offer will. It is a purely a coincidental situation. Coincidence situation. But in case of counter offer, what does it mean? What is a counter offer? Counter offer on the other hand. See, we see the example again, A and B. If A says, okay, car for 2,50,000. Same thing. I'm not going to use different case studies to confuse you the subject matter. But B says to him, I am ready to buy for 2 lakhs. The same car for 2 lakhs. So this is an offer. Then this is a counter offer. I hope you guys understood here. In the first case, cross offer, A and B were not aware of their each offers, but they sent their intention, right? But here B knows that A is offering it for 2,50,000, but he is saying, okay, I can buy it at a 2 lakh, right? This is called as a counter offer. When any person makes a counter offer, this is the latest offer, and then A has to accept it, correct? So here initially when offer was made, A was a offerer and B was offeree, and he is supposed to accept it. But now in the counter offer, B becomes a offerer and A is going to accept it. He is a offeree, right? So counter offer is a reverse offer, or it is a reduced change in the contract, whatever was original offer was stating. Okay, any terms in that, right? Whatever, not only price, any other conditions, if they want to alter, it is called as counter offer. Standing offer or open offer. Standing offer or open offer is something which remains open for acceptance over a period of time. Okay. We will I'll give an example here. There is an agreement there is a discussion. There are company A here and the supplier B. This is a company, buying company, and this is a supplier. Okay, so there is an agreement or a tender where B is going to supply 50,000 quantities, but not at one shot. Okay, the offer here is in January they have to give 5,000 quantity, February 5,000, like this it goes for the next 10 months, Jan to October 5,000. This is a standing offer where every time whenever he sends 5,000, okay, then the acceptance goes back here. This is a standing offer from a B side. He will supply 5,000 every month, okay, and then every individual is going to a separate contract. So they issue an order and then they supply 5,000 and they give acceptance. So this is a standing offer. It is open for an period, over a period of time. Okay, tenders or blanket agreements, right? All these are examples for open offer or a standing offer. They agree at a lump sum at one shot, but it will be open for next 10 years, so 10 months or any number of period, agreed number of periods. Okay, so we were while discussing offer and invitation to offer, while discussing essentials of offer, we said we need to the offer and invitation offer should be properly identified, right? Here is a few case studies and other details. any case, right? What I said earlier, invitation to offer is not an offer. It is just to call a person for a discussion. Okay, it is an offer to negotiation. The advertised price, advertised price, like they say that 250, 2500 onwards, right? In some product advertisement you might have seen. So it is all right, indicative prices. So all these things are called as invitation to offer. When the person goes into a shop to buy a washing machine where it was advertised that 2500 onwards, for 2500 he may get only a small box. Okay, it might not be a fully functional washing machine. If he wants a fully automated and other thing, it may cost 25,000 or 40,000. So the invitation to offer is not an offer. It is just to bring a customer onto a table and for a negotiation. Okay. Here is a case law, Harvey versus Facey. This is another important case law with respect to invitation to offer. In this case, a plaintiff, the person, right, plaintiff asks the defendant, we say for example again A and B. B, right, B asks A, hey, what is the price of your bumper hall pen? Okay, and then are you interested in selling it? Right? And then A replies back and stating bumper hall pen cost is 300 pounds. Okay, so then B says, please, okay, I am ready to buy. Okay, so then A says, A refuses to sell it. Here he just asks the question, are you interested to selling it, or and what is the price of the bumper hall pen, right? And then A quoted the price. He has not given his acceptance that he is ready to sell it or something. So in this case, the A is not responsible to sell the goods. It is just invitation to offer. It is just an invitation to offer and not a offer at all. Right? Whatever he asked or whatever they are doing, still a negotiation. It is not an offer and acceptance. At the same time, Bank of India versus BP Sarvankar. Okay, in a banks you might have already heard, right? Not only in banks, in a few government organizations also, a VRS scheme will be there, voluntary retirement scheme. So recently we saw a BSNL announced the voluntary retirement scheme. The same way, bank also says its employees, please apply for VRS and we evaluate and come back. Okay, it is an invitation. It is not that if 10,000 employees apply for a VRS, bank should accept all the 10,000. They may accept only 8,000. So invitation to voluntary retirement is a similar to an invitation to offer. It is not a perfect offer. Like bank is not giving any offer. It is an invitation to offer. And after that, once everybody applies, bank may accept everyone or they may reject few cases. So, invitation to voluntary retirement scheme is an invitation to offer. And most important question about revocation of offer. When can an offerer revoke his offer? Very simple. Offer can be revoked at any time before the communication of acceptance is completed. So, A makes an offer to B. B has not accepted yet. Then A can revoke it at any time. Once the B accepts, then A will not be able to revoke it. Okay. So here is a case of Rajendra Kumar versus State of MP. A proposes by letter to B and B receives the offer. Before B accepts it, A is revoking this offer, and this is a valid. Okay, this is a valid case, valid situation, and A can revoke because B has not yet given his acceptance. So that's why he can revoke it. How offer can be revoked? By giving a notice, or there is a lapse of time in an offer itself. If there is within 5 days, if you are not responding, offer is not valid. Or if acceptor fails to fulfill the conditions, right? In an offer there will always be a condition. Okay, only person with more than 50,000 salary can apply, or a company with 25 lakhs turnover are eligible to apply for this particular offer, right? If they are not able to fulfill the conditions, or before acceptance, if there is a death of a proposer or a proposed person, in all these cases automatically offer will be revoked. So the communication of revocation of proposal is complete and binding on the acceptor only when such communication comes to his knowledge. Okay, A sends a message to B. Till the time B receives it, there is no revocation. Once the B receives the message, then only it will be considered as revocation is completed. Move to a new point, new topic, acceptance now. What is acceptance? Okay, so we discussed the example of A and B of car sale, right? Once A makes an offer, the other party has to accept it, then only a contract will be created, right? Then only contract will get created. So it is essential for the conclusion of a contract, or it is essential to create a contract. Contract get created only after offer is accepted. So in Indian Contract Act, we have a definition for a promise, not for an acceptance. Section 2B defines the term promise as when the person to whom the proposal is made, here proposal is made to B, signifies his assent thereto. When he says he gives his assent thereto, then the proposal is said to be accepted. Offer or proposal is said to be accepted. When this accepted proposal when accepted, then it becomes promise. Okay, so offer, a proposal is made, and the person who receives the proposal accepts it, he gives his assent thereto, and whenever a proposal is accepted, that will become a promise. That's the definition for promise and acceptance. Okay, then after acceptance, each party becomes legally bound. That's the most important thing. As long as it is in offer state, no one is bound on their responsibilities. Once the proposal is accepted by other party, then both the parties will be bound by legal actions. Okay, they have to perform whatever they are committed or they promised. That's why people say that acceptance is to an offer is similar to lighted match is to a train of gunpowder. See, if you have a gunpowder in a train, it will not fire, or it won't go anywhere. Okay, it will be like a normal sand. But if you fire it, if you light it with a matchbox, then this will burst. So that's why contra acceptance is like a lighting match to a gunpowder. So for an offer, when you light it with the acceptance, then contract will get created. Okay, that's why people say that acceptance is to an offer what a lighted match is to a train gunpowder. So what are the essential elements of offer? Acceptance must be qualified, or unqualified, or absolute. So we discussed this example AB car for 2,50,000. This is an offer, right? B should accept this offer without any conditions, without stating any rules. Okay, then only it is called as an acceptance or promise. Okay, if B says I will pay 2 lakhs for this car, then it becomes counter offer. Correct? So we discussed in the types of offer. So always acceptance should be whatever offer is made the terms and condition, everything should be as per offer. If there is any change in that, then it will be called as counter offer. So an acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. And next point, acceptance should be expressed in a prescribed manner. In an offer, whenever A makes an offer, he says that B should do certain activities and give a acceptance in document, Word document, and signed. So all the manner, like whatever the format which offerer says, the acceptance should be in the same format. And then reasonable time. Reasonable time, all the acceptance should be given on within a reasonable time. Normally every offer will be having a time. This offer is applicable up to 31st May. Right? There will be always a clause in any offer, and if there is no clauses, then it should be done within a reasonable time. And acceptance should be given before revocation of offer. What is revocation of offer? Withdrawal of offer by a offerer. So A makes an offer to B on that car sale, and before B accepts it, it is an offer now, and B is not accepted yet. Before acceptance, if A says, I am not going to sell this car now, so it is revocation of offer. So before A revokes the offer, A has to give a acceptance. So always acceptance should be given before the revocation. If A withdraws it, then the B's acceptance, there is no value. And then it should be communicated. It should be communicated. It is necessary that every acceptance should be communicated to an offerer. Just mental determination of buying, mental determination of acceptance is not an acceptance. It must be communicated to the offerer. Let us see the example for an communication of an offer and acceptance. A is here and a B is here. So A is making some offer to B. Okay. This offer is made on 10th April. Okay. This is an offer date. So assume A is in Bangalore and B is in Mumbai. Okay. So he posts this offer to B. It reaches to him on 15th April. And then B reviews the offer and everything, and then posts it to, he will courier it on 17th April from Mumbai. It is there in Mumbai courier office on 17th April. It reaches to Bangalore and to Mr. A on 20th April. Okay, this is acceptance. Acceptance flowing to Mr. A on and reaches to him on 20th April. Now my first question, up to what time A can revoke his offer? A can revoke his offer up to 17th or before 17th, right? A can revoke before 17th. Okay, A can revoke it before 17th because it reached him on 15th and 2 days after that 17th is where B signed his acceptance. Okay, A can revoke this offer only before 17th, not before 19th. Okay, and now important question is, when A is bound to a liable for a contract and when B is liable to a contract. A is liable to contract from 17th. So A is liable, like offerer is liable to a contract from, he is liable from 17th itself. When the acceptor posts his acceptance, then A is liable to the contract. But B is liable to contract from 20th April. Okay. Make sure the offerer is liable to contract when acceptor posts the acceptance. But acceptor is liable to contract when acceptance is reached to a offerer. So B is liable from 20th April, A is liable from 17th April itself. So this is what this sentence says here. The proposed becomes bound when the letter of acceptance posted to him. So he is a proposer here. So he is liable when acceptor posts the letter to him. But the acceptor becomes bound when the letter of acceptance reaches to the offerer. Acceptor liable only when this reaches here. So acceptor can revoke his acceptance before 20th April. So B can revoke before 20th April. Okay, this is the most important aspect of communication of acceptance. Now let us discuss consideration. Okay, let's look into a consideration now. What is consideration? We will be discussing what is the definition of a consideration and essential elements of consideration. In simple terms, consideration means something in return. What does it? Consideration means something in return. Something in return. Okay, this in other words it will be called as quid pro quo. Quid pro quo. Okay, so it is nothing but a something in return. If A is doing something, so A also needs some benefit and B also need. It is a reciprocal thing. So A is transferring the car. So car is a consideration for B and B is transferring amount. This amount is a consideration for A. So car is a consideration and 2,50,000 is a consideration for Mr. A. So it is something in return for both the parties. It is not to one party. So both the parties should get some benefit. So that benefit is called as consideration. Okay, it's clear what is consideration? Consideration means something in return, quid pro quo, which means both the parties should get something in return when they enter into a contract. So in the given example, A is giving a car, so B is getting a car as consideration and then A is getting 2,50,000 as consideration. I hope you are clear with what is consideration in a general terms. Okay, in a contract, as per Indian Contract Act, consideration is defined as when at the desire of the promiser, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing or does or abstain from doing or promises to do or abstain from doing. See, three terms which you need to remember here: has done or abstain from doing, does or abstain from doing, or promises to do or abstain from doing. What does it indicate? Has done is doing it in the present tense, right? Sorry, has done is a past tense. Sorry, it is a past tense. He has already done that. And here, as does it is a present tense, and then promises to do something which is a future. So consideration includes a past action or a present action or a future action. We will see what is the past action, what is the present action and future action. So definition may look confusing, but when you divide it into three parts, right, then it is simple. When at the desire of the promiser, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing, or does or abstain from doing, or promises to do or abstain from doing something, such act or abstinence is called as consideration. Okay, such act or promise or abstinence is called as consideration. Okay, what is past element here, what is the present element and what is the future element? I'll give an example of a past where, for example, electricity bill, tuition fees. So contract, like it is already executed here, that the payments are already executed, like one party has already completed the action, and after that we are entering into a contract, right? I will pay the amount. Correct? So it is something which has happened already, but consideration will be paid later. So that is past, has done something. Okay, and now present. It is a running contract, right? It is a running. At present, one person transfers and the other person does it. So it is an, both the actions are happening on one same day. And in the future, it is a promise, right? It happens in where both the parties, both the actions are going to happen in future. So only contract is established, but the performance will be done in a future date. Okay, there is an agreement for a crop. Whatever the crop grows, you will say you will buy at a 20 per kg on 20th December. Okay, so if it is something which happen in the future days. The consideration payable is the crops will be sold to a party on 20th, and the consideration will also be received on 20th. The cash will also be received on 20th. So this is something in the future. So consideration can be of a present, past, or a future. But what is consideration? Consideration is a something in return. And most important thing here is it should be started, it must be started at the desire of the promisor. Okay, it should be started at the desire of the promisor, and it can be initiated by promisee or any other person. It is not necessary that only promisee has to do it, or any other person can be done it. So let us see these points in detail. Okay, we discussed here is an essential elements of consideration. It must move at the desire of the promisor. It must move at the desire of the promisor. What does it mean? Okay, take an example. You are in a residential locality or a complex where there are 500, where there are 40 houses are there, and here is a road and you are standing here. Okay, you saw there is a fire breakout here. Okay, fire breakout. So then you run there and you call a water fire extinguisher and others. So then you will incur some 500, you will incur some 1000, and you make sure that the fire goes out. Okay. After that, you go to the residential association and ask for 1000 rupees, whatever you spend for this. Is this, can he claim that? Answer is no, because who is a promiser? Who is a promisee? Right? He went and did it. Like, to call it as a contract, there should be an offerer and there should be a promiser or an acceptor. Right? See, the other party has not accepted your service. You went voluntarily and you tried to extinguish the fire, and then can you claim the amount? No. So it is very simple. Offer should be made and the acceptor should accept it. Then only the consideration question comes into picture. Clear? So always it is at the desire. It should move at the desire of the promiser, not at the desire of an offerer itself. Okay, there should be a bilateral discussion and then only it happens. So it must move at the desire of the promiser. It may move from promisee or any other person. Okay, for example, car example, whatever we took, right? We need to transfer car to here and then it is cashed. So this car, instead of A directly transferring it, he can give it to a dealer and dealer can transfer it. So he is a promisee and the dealer is a other party. So he can do this. So it can be moved from a promisee or from any other person. Okay, next important thing, it must be real. Consideration must be real, not a illusory. Simple. Car is also visible, cash is also visible, so it should be a real thing which is visible, which you can feel it. Okay, it cannot be an illusory. it needs to be adequate. Okay, consideration must be, sorry, it need not to be adequate. What does it mean? The car actual value may be at 10 lakhs, but he might be selling at 2,50,000. So but there should be some consideration, but it is not necessary that it is adequate. And it may be of a past, present or future. So action might have been done in a past or in a present or in a future. So any action, this will be considered as consideration. It must not be illegal, immoral or opposed to public policy. Any consideration, right? That should not be an illegal. They should not deal with some illegal objects. It should not be a immoral thing, or it cannot be opposing public policy. We discussed what all illegal objects which can be, like dealing with liquor in Gujarat, or dealing in human trafficking, which is immoral, or opposing to a public policy. These things will not be considered as a valid considerations. Okay, it is all about essential elements of consideration. Now let us see some exceptions. What is these exceptions? Before that, you should know that section 25 says that an agreement okay, so an agreement without consideration is void. Okay, it is an important statement. So consideration is very much essential for any contract, and it must be, even it need not to be adequate, or it might have done already, or a present or a future, but consideration is a must. If without consideration, an agreement will be considered as void. Okay, but there are few exceptions to it. One is love and affection. Okay, with love and affection, if parents transfer property to kids, okay, so in this case, anything is done with a love and affection and where there is a contractual elements is involved, this is exception to the rule of an agreement without consideration is void. And then compensation for voluntary service. If a person goes and carry out some work on his personal interest as a voluntary service, so then there is no need of giving any consideration. And then time bar debt. What is time bar debt? Time bar debt is a debt. Okay, take an example and then you will come to know time bar debt. Okay, you have given loan to your friend on April 2012. Okay, so you have given loan and now we are in July 20. Okay, April 12, 2012 you have given a loan, and then 13 gone, 14 gone, so you have not complained in the court, and on 15th in 2015 he says that I will not pay, so he refused to pay the amount. Even after that 16 gone, 17 gone, 18, right, and 19, 4 years lapsed and you have not go to a court because he is your friend. On one fine day, say 1st of January, he comes and says, okay, whatever I have received from you in April 2012, I will pay it. So he put it in an agreement and signs it with the person who gave the loan, right? So in this case, it is a time bar debt. So A, who has given a loan earlier, he is getting back money from a B who has taken a loan earlier. But even then, in this case, A is not giving anything in return. B is giving a document and agreement, signing the agreement because some time bar debt, a debt which is overdue and not gone to a court for a settlement. Okay, it is a time bar debt. And the fourth one is gratuitous bailment. What is bailment? Bailment is a contract where we hand over certain goods to some other party for a time being, and then we will take it back. The time being, the purpose is to make some alteration. Like for example, we give a clothes to tailor for stitching it and returning it back. There is some situation where is called as a gratuitous bailment. When you give your car to your friend, right? You have given your car, you here. So you give your car to your friend and then he will return it back after the trip. So in these kind of situations, the consideration will not be there. So this is a gratuitous bailment. Bailment allows without consideration also. Contract of agency. Contract of agency. You guys know what is contract of agency? Contract of agency is something where a manufacturer, there will be a middleman who is a agent, and then there will be a final purchaser, buyer, right? In this contract of agency, first goods goes from manufacturer to agent, and then agent sells it to buyer. Okay, so agent may not take some money from a manufacturer, but he may manage with buyer side. So this is kind of a contract, and other things are allowed in contract of agency. Though there is a contract between manufacturer and agent, but agent is not charging anything to manufacturer, or manufacturer is not giving any financial consideration, even then that will be effective contract or a valid contract without consideration. And then completed gifts. In case of a donor and a donee, if a donor transfers 50,000 for construction of some temple or whatever the thing, and donee receives it, and it is a completed, correct? This is a valid transfer. Okay, see, donor is transferring it to 50,000 to donee, and donor is not getting any benefit here. Even then, this is a valid contract. Okay, so these all are the exceptions. We discussed what is consideration, and consideration can be past, present, or a future. And we discussed what are the essential elements of the consideration. We discussed importance of consideration. As per section 25, agreement without consideration is void, but there are few exceptions. We talked about these exceptions: love and affection, compensation for voluntary service, time bar debt, gratuitous bailment, contract of agency, donor and donee are a completed gift. Okay, so with this we have completed contracts, agreements, offer, acceptance, and consideration. So the first pillar we have completed with this, key concepts and definition. And in next video we will discuss enforceable by law, which includes competent parties, free consent, and legality of object. Thank you. Guys, I request you, please go through all the 4 videos, all the 3 videos, whatever we uploaded on Indian Contract Act so far, and be clear with that. If you have any clarification, put your comment in comment box. Thank you very much. I request you to please subscribe this channel.